As you can see, this tree is a total mess, but it's a good example of all the others, and I'm about to show you a quantity of about 5,000 trees that look exactly like it. Like this one over here, you can see the bare wood here where it's missing the bark, because the same thing is happening to that tree as happened to this tree. See all this bark hanging down right here? And when we drive through and you see a bunch of black and white intermixed, it's this right here. Highly burnt right next to unburnt, going all the way up the tree. And you can see it burnt it out on the inside. That was the inside of the tree. Huge tree. I'll just step on in here for a minute so you can get a good idea of just exactly how huge this tree really was. It's my shoe. So you could fit 2 or 3 me's inside of there. And you'll see the burn-unburn pattern everywhere. And like right here, burn, unburn, and the bark falling off all the trees. So back out here a little bit, and you can see it's unburnt on the outside right here because it burnt it out on the inside right there. And you can see this line right here, burn unburn line going right there. So I'm about to drive up the road and show you a bunch of trees that are all missing their bark. They have this burn unburn pattern. And I'm going to just show you some of the quantity of what we're looking at right here. See how spotty that burning is right here? How highly burned it is where it's burned, right next to completely unburned spots. Fire don't do that. High amounts of electricity did. And you're going to see some of these other trees that basically exploded from center mass. Highly burnt in the middle, unburnt on the right and left. We go up the tree. See more of the same. This is the outside right here. That was all the inside that burnt out, and then that's the outside from the other side. And you can see what you're looking at. If I can back up without falling over here. Whoa. All burnt out on the inside, unburnt on the outside. Bark hanging off all over. And we're about to see about 10,000 trees that look just like this. And that includes every tree within, within visual range of right here. And I'm about to take a drive, so let's go. One last look at this poor tree from a distance. And you can see the same burn pattern here. The burn, unburn. These are the kind that are cool to cut up and take home and throw some lacquer on. And these are also the kind that burn to a point. For some weird reason, it burns everything to a point, like a spike. Like this one, and this one, this one, this one. It burns it all to a spiky point. But what I'm trying to point out really is just the inconsistent burn pattern. That fire never ever burns like that. Only huge amounts of electricity. There's more of those spikes I was talking about. And how you can see right here, the vein of electricity ran right up here. There's the spotty burning all over, but right here there was clearly a bolt of electricity going right up through the middle. And that's how you create that super burn streak right next to the totally unburned. And then all the spotty burning that comes along as a result. But the vein of electricity, the bolt of lightning, follows the most dense part of the tree, and that's how they burn from the inside out. Here's another good example of how you can see the whole tree was this big. Kind of not really helping there too much. And you can see where it kind of grew in a spiral, and then the electricity followed the same pattern as it burned it. So this tree's got another good example of the WTF effect. This thin piece of wood right here is all that's remaining, and that was once holding this whole branch up. But this is the inside of the tree right there. And it burned it out on the inside so much that the only thing left is that thin outer unburnt layer of wood. That's not even the bark, that's just a very thin outer layer of the wood. So you can see, highly burned in here, unburned here, that's the outside, that flopped over right there, highly burned on the inside, and that was the opposite side of the tree that flopped over this way, and that's the outer edge that's unburnt. So, I just thought that one was a really weird looking specimen. I'm gonna hike up and look at this tree that you can see is flopped over, and then show you a bunch of others like it, because I can tell just from here that it's exploded at the core, center mass. Here it is as we get a little closer, and you can see that the ground was hit hard with high amounts of electricity here that create these burn patterns on what was once sagebrush. Anyway, let's go. Here is the center of the handy dandy was-be tree, and you can see it's burnt in the middle clear out. Got these inconsistent burn patterns everywhere. Burn right next to unburn. Like right here. So that's the inside of the tree. The tree that once was. Here's a better look. We'll kind of cruise in from this angle. You can see the opposite side of the tree there. Only a few strips are left. And as we cruise in, you can see the burn, unburn pattern on the sticks that are on the ground that are the remnants of what was this tree. This stick's got it all the way down the whole thing. You can see how it's burned on one side and not the other. And how big of a tree this was. This could have housed like 12 keebler elves. See the inconsistent burn pattern everywhere? And we'll probably just move on here in just a second. But yeah, it was clearly burned from the inside. Even here on the inside, see this unburned spot right there? Only in Bizarro Land does that happen. Only in Bizarro Land. I'm going to show you here that the rocks are scorched in bizarre ways. It shatters the outside off, so that's the scorching, and all this part that's unscorched is because the outer surface exploded from this rock. Here's a good example right there of where that piece and that piece, if I can just stay out, that piece and that piece are unscorched, like this color here, because it exploded the outer surface of the rock. I can probably chip this part away. Anyway, you can see how scorched this one is on top. When it focuses, scorched on top, unscorched here. You can kind of see the burn line right there. To get rocks to turn this color takes a super high intensity heat. These two the same. Oh, can't pluck that one up very easy. That one as well. Anyway, I'll try and collect a couple cool rocks. This is what that tree looks like from the top side of the hill. We're gonna go in and get a good shot of this inside right here. And again, only in Bizarro World. Unburned, unburned, highly burned. See how you can see right through the few strips that are left here, but you still have the unburned spots? That's the inside of the tree that once was. Right here, you see this strip that's missing right out of the middle unburned here and unburned here, but highly burned right up the center. Not helping too much on the focus. That's basically straight out of Bizarro World. Unburned right here on the tip, on the outside. That would be the outside of the branch. This would be the bolt of lightning that's made its way up the inside. And do not attempt to control the vertical or the horizontal. Do not attempt to adjust your set. You have now entered Bizarro Land. I just had to change it up a little bit so they didn't hit me with a copyright. Here's another version of what we saw right up there. The burn streak right up through the middle. How it kind of comes to a point right here. Same thing right here. And clear these out a little bit. The bolt of lightning that went up the middle on that other branch we were just looking at, same thing, larger version, right here. Unburned on this side, unburned on that side. Bolt of lightning up the middle. See the lightning bolt thing? Now they're all laid over that way. Everything on these tips of these branches is all unburnt. All these pine needles. Boom! Exploded it. Laid it over mostly that way. And it was like a slow explosion. Gonna go check out some others. One last look at it from this side. The direction that it blew most of the branches. And a nice close-up of all the unburned material. This is what's on the end of it. Highly flammable fuel. Flameless, this whole thing. One last look at the poor tree. And all these trees I'm showing you are visible from the road. So if waking the masses, if the masses wanted to be awake, they'd be awake. But the alarm's going off and they're all sleeping. So I'm not going to waste too much film showing you the quantity of these trees. Every tree out there has the missing bark, the bare white wood, and the same patterns of burn that I've been showing you. So all these trees, just let it suffice to say that it goes on for miles and miles on both sides of the road, and it's just as blatant as what I'm about to show you. See the bark hanging down from this tree right here? So like the sun's not in a good direction to be able to really show you much of this stuff just on a drive-by. So I'm going to pull over and actually show you some close-ups. You see the carnage? The bark hanging off everywhere. Trees all leaned over against each other. Carnage, carnage everywhere. All of them. All the trees on both sides of the road for miles. Like that one, you can see a big old sheet of bark hanging off. The one out in the distance, center screen. Anyway, I said I wasn't going to waste too much time doing this part because you really can't see a whole lot. You can see this one, exploded center mass right there. The base of the tree is right there. Just like this one, flopped over right there. What I'm saying is it's not a secret here. There's a few more of these that are exploded up there that I may or may not get to. So for now, I'll just show you what's here. For example, right there, you can see the burn-unburn pattern. Now that we're on the right side with the sun pointed at the trees, you can see how obvious it is. With the burn-unburn streaks everywhere. This one's got a good example of that circle right on the end, how it burned from the inside. I've shown you a bunch of these circular burn patterns. This log has the same thing. The circular burn pattern on the end. I can't even see the glare of the sun and everything. It's just black right here. Just like, this one's only black right in the middle. You see all the same burn patterns. This one is just so obvious. I'm gonna try and shut my mouth for a minute. But yeah, you see how it burnt out from the inside. This hole right here. Hello? Hello? Go in from the bottom and look up. Yeah, it's pretty burnt. So what I'm saying is these things are visible from the road. There's another big one right over here we're gonna go look at. There we go. But it's all very obvious to anyone that wants to be able to see. All you have to have is like 3 viable brain cells, maybe 4, and you can rub them together pretty vigorously and come up with a pretty solid conclusion. Okay, so this tree is huge. You can see the unburn here, along with up there, all that unburn, along with down here. The unburn right next to the burn. And this is highly visible from the road. Burnt out on the inside, all up in the inside. And the sun's not gonna be working with me, but yeah. Burn, unburn, that looking like a cow in a pasture. Got that cow colored burn pattern. All this is unburned. It's all very obvious to anyone who chooses to look is all I'm saying. So it ain't about waking the masses at this point. If this doesn't wake them, nothing will. This is a good